Hey everybody, it's been a couple weeks since Strongsville. I don't think I need to talk about how great a show it was. Many of you watching, I saw there or met there for the first time. Thank you all for bringing me into the fold of this YouTube community. Um, I still shake my head about how great a show it was. I think even those that were super skeptical about what the show was going to be like, having moved from its old home to the new location, boy, any concerns people had about it being whack or just not a good time, I think that was put to bed pretty quickly. So I haven't been to any shows. I'm kind of targeting going to a show this weekend. We'll see how that goes, and if I'm able to put up a video talking about it, I will. Probably the middle of next week. The one thing I do want to talk about is a little bit more about my background and sort of part of my collecting journey here. As I said, probably on my initial video, I got into collecting in late 70s and really got out right as I went to college. So I graduated high school in 88. And frankly, from that point on until realistically about almost a year and a half ago, I was out of the hobby, but I held on to most of my cards that I had. As part of that time, especially 85, 86, 87, I was setting up at local shows in the Baltimore County and I'll call it central Pennsylvania, central South Pennsylvania area, and selling cards at that point. And in the process, building my personal collection. One of the sets I put together, probably one of my sets that I talk about that I'm probably going to die with, is a 1955 top set that I put together. And up until about a year and a half ago, I put that set together and it was just sitting in a binder in Protecto plastic sheets, no PVC, so that was good. In a pretty standard binder that was kind of nice to mid-grade 80s version. I realized, you know what? These can't be sitting in binders this long. I probably should do something with them. These cards are starting to become worth something here. And so I just made some adjustments on how I store stuff. And frankly, I'm just trying to think out loud about where do I take this? Do I take this set anywhere? So I'll share with you sort of what my solution for my storage solution for my 1955 set is. I'm trying to manage or balance. I'm trying to balance space with quality storage. I don't want something to take up too much space. I knew I needed to upgrade from a binder. So I'll show you what it is and just spitballing. And I'm just sort of thinking out loud of, should I do anything different here with these? And would appreciate whatever feedback y'all can give. So I'm going to flip the camera around and kind of show you what I've done with it, and I'll share a few cards I have. All right, so I used to have a 1955 top set in a binder, but about a year and a half ago, I transitioned it to this storage solution. And it is, I dumped them all out of the binder and put them in semi-ridges, or card savers, whatever you want to call them. And this is how I store that set now. So in addition to putting them in semi-ridges, for those of you that know Philly's baseball card guy, who makes great videos, probably puts it out every week or two, about his sort of junk wax projects that he spins out of Facebook, and between that and going to card shows and local card shops, is able to sort of fund his hobby through buying lots of very different qualities and things like that. If you've watched his videos, he has a 3D printer and he makes these dividers. They're made of plastic. Obviously, he has some that are in top loader size, and this is a card saver size that he has. So, God, a few months ago, I hit him up and I asked him to make up 8 for me. And I want to say with shipping and everything, it was like $25. Frankly, I swapped out one of his recent videos. I think he was trying to put an 82 top set together, and it had kind of a not great shape 82 Ripken rookie card tops, and I swapped it out for a bunch of these, so it worked out great. I have a few of them. It was not a fantastic condition. Felt like a great trade for me. So this is, anyway, buy these. These are awesome. It's a great channel. I think what he makes them for is dirt cheap in the grand scheme of things. So don't hesitate to reach out. Service is fantastic. If I get any more, I'll buy them. I will buy from him again in the future if I have a need, without any question. Super easy to deal with. So this is the set. So to give you a feel, as I worked on this project initially, I didn't round into putting the 55 set together. What I did is I bought one card thinking I was going to do a player run with it. And it's card number 47 in the 1955 set. And for those of you that know card number 47, which I'm going to try to show to you without too much glare, that is this, that's Hank Aaron. And this, I'm going to have a hard time showing it without showing my mug again, but this is the card. As I've probably said previously, centering wasn't a big deal in the mid-'80s. It was all about how sharp are the corners and stuff like that. So while this is, well, the corners are really nice and the back's in really nice shape, the centering is not great, Bob, but it's perfectly fine for me. So this is my very first 55 card, thinking I was going to do a player run. And back in the day, I'll just tell you, walking around shows, 55 Topps Commons probably ranged from, they were basically $1 a piece. And the high numbers were 3 to 4. I'll show you some of the high numbers I got. I paid a premium for these because they were in fantastic shape. I think I paid $6 for the high numbers way back when. But this was the set. And so over the course of probably 18 to 20 months, I won't even say 2 years, because I got it done in less than 2 years, because as soon as I got this done, I jumped on the 56 set. But I never finished that at the time. I'm trying to finish it now. But this was the very first card I got. And I'll just pull out a stack here just to give you a feel for storage. So this is what I have. The first card is Dusty Rhodes. Centering? What's that? But, the number 2 card is pretty well known in that set. It's the Ted Williams. Frankly, this is probably the nicest condition, bigger card that I have in this set. I mean, this is kind of a screamer. But this is what I have. It's all numerical order. Here's the K line. To give you a feel, what were these going for way back when? I think that was $40, maybe in the 30s. This is probably a $15 to $20 card, probably 15. Here's Jim Gilliam. This was a couple $3, but yep. And so these are all the cards in the set. When I put this together, I probably swore these cards were all near mint. Frankly, if I got them all graded now, I'd be lucky to have an average grade of 5.5. Some are perfectly fine. I think the centering would kill me here. Some are very sharp. Some are not. So here's how I store them. What I do is, and I'll just use the Aaron as the example here. I have the card saver. I put them in a sleeve as well inside the card saver. And then I got one of these stickered card saver dust avoidance stickers, basically saying, look, I want this thing to be in an envelope and not have any of the wear and tear that it being out in the open could put on it. Now, obviously, it's a semi-rigid, right? It's not in a slab. It's not in a magnetic holder or anything like that. Approach. What do you all think is the best way to go? Leave it in what it is all the way through. Obviously, it's a super clean looking presentation here. But, if I take like the big 10 cards or however many there are in this set, and do I just go get, do I go put them in the One Touches or whatever brand? I assume it'd be either a Zion case or a Zion case sort of slab, or like a Pro Mold sort of slab. I'm not trying to do something to throw the stickers on the top. I do. because I'm a set collector, some of us can be a little obsessive. I like the clean nature of everything. What would you all do? Would you do something different? I mean, this feels perfectly fine to me, but I would love to. I'd love to get some feedback from you. So please feel free to comment on what's done. I'll just share a couple of the other cards that I have in this set, just because some might ask. So here's the Koufax. This is probably one of the rougher grades I have. I think it's pretty decently centered here, but this is probably a VG today. But the colors popping, like the colors, I think fantastic here. And the back's really nice. Just to give you a feel for what this was 40 years ago, it was a $75 card. And I probably paid up for the condition. When I remember buying this and saying, let's just get this up, I'll upgrade it in the future. You know how that goes, right? Killebrew is really sharp, but really off center, but it's really sharp. Again, the back is super nice. And just because many will potentially ask, here's the Clemente, which is very, very sharp, but very, very off center. It being this damn near miscut here on the side is it's not uncommon of this set. And I think if you see here, I've got this beautiful print error or printing defect here, which frankly I had never seen before on this card until I think I was on Facebook earlier this week and saw someone else that had almost the exact same style error, but it might have been at the E or the R. So, okay, yep, it's legit. And my guess is it was that card was likely printed, I would assume maybe the same week. Maybe that defect slid down the card, who knows. This card was $100 when I bought it. What would a grade today? Who knows? Corners and all that stuff? Yeah, it's probably yeah. If not for the centering, maybe this is a 4 or a 5, but the centering probably kills it. You know, there's a part of me that says, hey, do I try to upgrade maybe some of these bigger names and trade up? I talked to my kids about it, and I'm like, yeah, this is the set I put together when I was like the little fat kid trying to sell baseball cards and build his, I won't say little fat, but the fat kid trying to refine his collection and build it. And this was me back in 1985, 1986. I think they sort of laugh at me. There are sort of things that I likely pass down. I think there's enough interest there. Or do I say, you know what, maybe if I take this card and combine it with some money, and can I upgrade it to something a little nicer? Not that this whole set is pristine or anything like that, because it's not. The high numbers though, so here's the Barra. The high numbers are really, these can be super challenging here. So there's the Jackie Jensen card. When I was entering this into Card Ladder, boy, the quote that was, I was being told on this card, I was like, for real? Like maybe this was, like I said, a $5 to $8 card at the time. Sherm Lawler, you know, all these 55 high numbers are pretty heavy duty. I would assume these are all sort of short prints. This card, this is a real interesting card here. I didn't show you the maze, but this is a real interesting card here because frankly, for all the cards in the set that didn't go up in value but were expensive at the time, you know, what you'll see here, these aren't creases. These are just the sleeve in there that are just started to wrinkle up a little bit. This card was like I want to say this card was $120 back then. And yeah, maybe it's a $500 card. But I mean, this card was more expensive than, it was double the cost of the Aaron. It was more expensive than the Clemente. It was almost double the cost of the Koufax. But why? Last card of the set. It's a high number. It's a short print too. But, you know, this is probably at best VG. And Duke Snider just isn't considered a inner tier Hall of Famer back then. But, you know, there are lots of cards that were really expensive on a relative basis to their peers back then that just did not have the weight, and probably the best example of what is and what isn't. So here's the Snyder. So now I just need to find that, for those of you that know it, card number 50, because card number 50 is the Jackie Robinson, which this is relatively sharp. Now, frankly, you could have bought this card all day, every day back then, and for $25 max, $20 to $25, they'd be all over and you can buy them all up. You know, Frank, I looked at this card a little closer here, and unfortunately, while this is like really nice and really sharp, the back's like really clean, I did find, and I'm not going to zoom in here, what felt like a bit of a, I did see what felt like a bit of a crease in the card, which is, to quote the dude, that's a bummer, man. It sucks a bit, but this card is quickly approaching 4 figures, and this card was selling for 5-6 exit 40 years ago, and frankly, you could buy this pretty easily for $400 or $500 now. So interesting to see that. Interesting to see those these changes in prices happen, and where has the attention and the money really gone? Like, where has the demand changed over time? Other great examples of like cards that have almost done cards that were like expensive cards, but have almost done nothing in value, are cards like the 1972 Rod Carew, high number, not a lot of them out there. Carew in the 80s, a star, certainly a star card, not necessarily a chase card, but well respected. You know, his profile in the hobby isn't what it was. I think he's certainly respected, but his cards are just meh. And that same card you could probably get for damn near the same price. And you think about how, you know, the value of $1 over the last 40 plus years. That card, the Steve Garvey card from 1972. A lot of these late or early 70s cards, especially the 72 high numbers that were really a chase and really expensive, just haven't done anything. Like Steve Carlton, the traded card from that set was kind of a chase card, but you know, Steve Carlton's profile in the hobby is, for as successful a pitcher he is, he's almost a common at this point outside of his rookie card. But yeah, those sorts of cards just don't have that same appeal. So when I see these show up and I see like, oh, here's a much cleaner Snyder, do I want to upgrade my set? And wow, this is a 6 and it's, I don't know, it's under $1,000, like a super clean looking 6, it's under $1,000. What's going on? Because you almost can't even whiff a nice Jackie for under $1,000. And this thing was $25 all day, every day, no matter what. So again, this is probably a little less than old man yelling at cloud, but this is my 55 set. Storage, what would you all do something different here? Would you rip sort of the money cards out and put them in one touches just to have a little better storage? Would you just leave them in this? I mean, these feel pretty well protected to me. I don't know much about how humidity acts like it, though. Living in Southwest Florida where it doesn't freeze, I'm sure, like, you know, I don't have, you know, they make those super high-end premium card sleeves. Well, vintage card size card sleeves don't come in premium. They're just regular, so I'm sure that's why these are sort of wrinkled up here. But would love to hear y'all's take on it. Of how might you do this differently. I have no urgency to sell the set. I am going through a pretty significant overhaul of my collection right now that I'll probably share in another video, and that journey and how that all went. And so, but this is something that I'd probably look to hold on to indefinitely. Please leave a comment and let me know. Thanks, and talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.